Well, today I got a few packages delivered, a few parts that I had ordered a few days ago for the Predator. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, you'll notice that the engine is now orange instead of red, the way it came in the box. I took a can of orange paint, the closest I could find to Bobcat orange, and I just pulled the shroud off and gave it a quick coat of paint. And then you'll also see the pull start, the recoil here is rotated 180 degrees. So now I can pull start it from the rear of the machine. So now I can just open the rear engine compartment door and pull start this motor if I desire. Also, you'll notice just my OCD, I had to take that sticker off and rotate it 180 degrees too so that it wouldn't be upside down. And while I was at it, the 4.5-inch pulley that I bought at Tractor Supply, that got a coat of orange paint as well. I installed this little ball valve where the drain plug was, just to make oil changes a little bit easier. The drain plug is actually on what I call the front of the motor, so a little bit harder to get to once it's installed. I also added the 90-degree elbow so that I can just put a little piece of hose on this, and I can run it down through the gas tank well, and there's a hole at the bottom there, so I can just run it out into an oil pan. So oil changes should be a little bit easier this way. I removed the stock air box and air filter from the motor, and you can see the carburetor's exposed now. I'm going to go ahead and put a performance air filter on this motor. I think it's just a nice cleaner look, and what the heck. I've done this with go-karts with my son, and it's kind of fun to modify these motors. They're pretty easy. There's a lot of different aftermarket parts available for them. You can also see the breather tube here. This would normally go into the air box, and I took the elbow and I cut it down a little bit, and then this is just a little gas filter used for two-stroke motors, and I just had a little bit of rubber hose that I made so it's a tight fit, and then that way the breather on this motor is also filtered. So here's the motor with the air filter installed now, and the next thing I will do is extend my fuel line. This is 3/16 inch that came stock on the motor, and I've got an adapter hose barb that goes from 3/16 to 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch is a little more standard for small motors. Then I've also got a 1/4 inch pipe thread to 1/4 inch hose barb, 90-degree elbow for the external fuel tank. Once that arrives, I'll install that, and then some 1/4 inch fuel line. So now I've got my motor bolted in place, and I've got my belt on, and I seem to have lots of clearance on all sides. As far as the exhaust, what I plan to do is, this is just the old air cleaner from the previous motor, but I think I'm going to buy a flange and then put a vertical cylindrical muffler under here, kind of like this. This is kind of a good illustration of what that will look like. And then I'll kind of use this space a little bit better for a large muffler, and then have it pointing out the back, kind of the same location of the original Kohler motor. But that will be an upgrade from the stock exhaust. I plan to use the original throttle linkage here, which goes up to the lever next to the seat. And what I'll do is I will put a linkage, extend to this linkage here, and then I plan to thread this rod here and use a yoke on the end or something that's adjustable so I can get it adjusted correctly. There's a bunch of adjustment on the other end next to the lever, so I'm not too concerned about getting enough adjustment, but that'll be one of the next steps I do. And lastly, the fuel line will go straight vertical here, and then once I get my external tank, I'll get that mounted, and I should be almost done with the motor installation. So here's another view from the other side. You can see there's a lot of room with this motor, and what I plan to do is probably just run it for a little while without a battery, and then that'll be in the next project, just to get the battery and the wiring done so that I can have electric start. But for now, if I decide to maybe push some snow this winter, I can easily just open the door, pull start it, and away I go.